Okay, I apologize for like the weird lighting and stuff behind me. I need a curtain in my bedroom very badly. Um, but thank you for asking. um, I figured making a video would make this a little bit easier than trying to like answer it in text. And then I also have the video on hand to like post when other people ask. So here we are. Um, I I honestly don't even talk about this very much, so you'll have to excuse if I'm like super awkward as I try to explain myself. Um, you asked what type of like gifts, spiritual gifts do I have, and like what services do I provide or specialize in. So, I specialize in quite a few, and I have lots of spiritual gifts. Um, my most popular and most common spiritual service that I provide is tarot readings. Um, they just seem to be the most popular. So I guess you could say that I specialize in tarot, even though I personally don't really feel like I specialize in tarot. Like I guess I didn't purposely specialize in it. Um, Let me start off by saying that like my spiritual and psychic abilities. I kind of hate using that word because it has such a weird like stigma and connotation attached to it, and a lot of people don't understand what it means. But for lack of better term, that is the one that I will use right now. Um, my abilities um, are very extensive, and to be quite honest, pretty strong and powerful. For example, I don't actually need tarot cards or runes or bones or pendulums or any other form of a divinations tool in order to use divinations. Um, I talk to the dead and the spirit world on a regular basis. They're always around. They're always buzzing at me and talking to me, and sometimes I'll have to just tell them to leave me alone for a little while, but it's not something I can actually turn off. It's just something I can kind of filter so it's not as loud, so I can focus on other things. Um, so I don't actually need any physical tools to do a reading. I use them because a lot of my clients are very visual, and it helps them um, receive and even process and like retain the information from their reading a lot easier if I give them a visual to look at. And so that's one of the main reasons that I use things like tarot cards and runes and other tools of divinations. But I am powerful enough to just do it without any type of a visual aid. Um, so yeah, I have what I refer to as all of the clairs. So a lot of people just think that like when they think of a psychic, they think of clairvoyance. And clairvoyance is one of them. It's one of the five clairs. So clair is actually a French prefix and it means clear. So clearly. And clairvoyance is like, and yeah, I am looking at, I wrote notes down on my other phone. So I'm so ADHD and I don't want to get too sidetracked. I will, even with notes, but yeah. Um, so clairvoyance is like the act of clear seeing. Um, and it means that you can see things that like aren't perceived with the naked eye, that not everyone around you can see. Um, and that for me comes in many different forms. I see spirits slash ghosts. Um, I see auras, which is the energy that's connected to the magnetic field around your physical vessel. I see energy signatures, which are actually totally different from an aura, and it is attached to what many refer to as your soul. So in each lifetime, your aura is going to change with your physical body, but your energy signature, it will be a little bit different in each lifetime because it will have taken on the energy of the most recent previous life, but it will still have the same core signature that was imprinted on it when it was created. And that, I believe, is how many of us recognize each other in future lives and in consecutive lives. Like, that's how you recognize somebody that you've known in a past life, is through their energy signature. And I can see both auras and energy signatures in photos, via the internet, on the TV screen, that kind of stuff. It's pretty strong. And energy signatures are kind of hard to explain. It's not as easy to explain as an aura is, because auras are broken down into the different colors. You know, your aura might be red and green, or it might be yellow and orange, or it might be purple and orange, and like each color has like a different meaning. And energy signatures are not so black and white, so to speak. And they're very hard to describe in like words, because it's literally just like, I just see it. I can just tell. It just gives off something that speaks to me, and then I read that. Okay, so that's like clairvoyance. I literally can see some spirits that are strong enough to take on like a physical apparition. Sometimes they're strong enough to take on an apparition where anybody in the room can see them, whether they have clairvoyance or not. And sometimes they rely on somebody such as myself to be like, hey, I can see you. Do you need something? Because the other people can't see them. And that's why psychics and mediums and stuff like that exist. We are here to bridge the gap. Then you have clairaudience, which is obviously the act of clear hearing. And it means that I can hear things, usually in like my mind, the way that like you hear your thoughts, or you hear a song that's stuck in your head. It's a lot like that. And it's the type of thing that other people can't hear. And also, I'm technically deaf. I am a deafie. I have Meniere's disease, and I should wear hearing aids. I just don't. I'm a lip reader, that kind of a thing. So I often hear things from the spirit world or other planes. And the way I know that's what it is, it's because if it was real, like real on this plane in here, I physically wouldn't be able to hear it. I wouldn't be able to hear the sound of that chime or bell. I wouldn't be able to hear the sound of somebody whispering. So when I do, I know it's not physically real. I know it's not of this plane. And I know that if I have time, that means it's really important to tap in and listen. The third one is clairsentience, and that is the act of clearly feeling something with my own body. For some people, this one is also combined with the clairvoyance. And it happens when they touch people or objects. They will immediately see, it can also coincide with clairaudience. They will either see or hear something that has to do with the energetic imprint left on that person or that object that they are touching. Some people can control it, some people can't. You'll see them wearing gloves. My clairsentience is not connected to my actual sense of touch. It is more of a physical feeling that I feel when I'm around people. So if you and I are hanging out and you have a really, really bad migraine, if we're hanging out for a long period of time, I will definitely end up with a headache, if not a full-blown migraine myself. I can sometimes tell when people are terminally or chronically ill, because like if they have lung cancer or COPD and I'm around them for long periods of times, my chest will literally start to hurt. It will feel tight. I might feel like I'm having trouble breathing. If they have issues in other parts of their body, I'll literally start feeling pain in those parts of my body. If you are feeling a certain emotion and it's a very strong and kind of an overwhelming emotion, I will definitely feel it right along with you. So it's a lot like being an empath, but much more physical. Like, if you are genuinely upset, I will probably start crying along with you. And that, again, can happen. It's strong enough with me where it even happens online. I can be talking with somebody via DMs, and I can just tell they are sitting there holding back their tears or crying uncontrollably, and all of a sudden I will start crying for them or with them. And it can be very overwhelming to live like this sometimes. Um, the fourth one is clair empathy, which is like the clear act of feeling other people's emotions. So that also ties in with my clairsentience. And then the fifth one is claircognizance, which is like just the clear, like you just know. And it's a lot different than like your gut instinct or your intuition. Okay, a lot of people think that being an empath or having claircognizance and stuff like that is the same as having good intuition or good instincts, and they're not. Mind you, those of us that have any of the clairs or any other of the psychic abilities will definitely have very strong intuition and instincts, and we usually learn to never doubt them or try not to doubt them. But it's not the same thing. So when I try to tell people like, oh yeah, I just know things sometimes, they're like, oh yeah, I've got good instincts too. And I'm like, great, not quite the same thing, but I'm happy for you. Like, so yeah, those are my like main psychic gifts that I'm trying to come into more and be more proud of and talk about more. There's so much stigma attached to it these days with all the scammers that are running around online. And then you also just have the people that think, oh, you're not talking to the dead, you're mentally ill. And so just to clarify, I do have mental health issues. Quite a few that are undiagnosed and currently being assessed. And then I also have a borderline personality disorder diagnosis, which does come with visual and even auditory hallucinations sometimes. But I know the difference between my gifts and somebody from another realm or another plane trying to contact me, and when I'm having a bad BPD episode and it is just a hallucination. I've definitely over the years learned the difference, and there have been times where I've doubted myself and I've ignored messages from the other realm because I thought, nope, that's just my mental health acting up, and I was wrong. So I'm almost 40 now, and I'm working on myself still. And so yeah, that's one of the things that I have learned to differentiate between the two. So while I admit I do have mental health issues, I can also honestly and genuinely tell you that my psychic abilities are real and they are not part of my mental health issues. And if anyone watching this doesn't agree, that's totally okay. You don't have to. It just means I'm not the one for you, and you don't have to book my services. Not a big deal. Yeah, this video is going on and on and on, and I feel kind of bad, but I have to keep going, so I might end up breaking it up into a couple of parts along the way. So yeah, my other services that I also offer, obviously, are I do just offer like spiritual guidance day to day. If you are new to learning about your own abilities and your own gifts, and you kind of need somebody to help guide you on how to hone them, how to train yourself, how to be able to tell the difference between things, that kind of stuff, I'm available for those types of bookings, either like one-on-one, pay as you go kind of a thing. But then I also have some people who put me on retainer, and they pretty much just pay me a certain amount for 3 months, and that means they can call me, text me, message me, whatever, whenever they need to, and I will guide them and counsel them to the best of my ability. I am not a therapist by any means, and I do still heavily believe that counseling and therapy from a certified professional in the medical field is very valid and very relevant. And for people who have access to those kinds of services, I'm constantly advocating for them to reach out and obtain them. A lot of the people that come to me for certain services come to me and I work directly with their therapist, or, their therapist has access to our sessions, that kind of stuff. So I'm definitely not a substitute for mental health services in any way, shape, or form. I'm just here to help work alongside mental health services. Because spirituality and mental health are often really, really connected, for those of y'all that don't understand why I have to differentiate and make that disclaimer. I also offer Reiki sessions. They are mostly online right now because in-person sessions are very physically taxing and draining on me. So are online sessions, but I'm able to handle them a little bit better. I do have health issues myself. So yeah, I do a lot of online Reiki sessions, either one-on-one in a video chat, or I do have digital downloads where it's just a video of me doing Reiki and guided meditation and energy work, and people can download them and watch them in their own time at their own pace and over again if need be. And then I also do offer different channeling readings, which are a lot different than a tarot reading, because again, there will be no visual. It's just me sitting here channeling someone who has a message for you, and that can be anyone from your ancestors to a loved one that is in the spirit realm, which is a little bit different than your ancestors, but that's for a different video. Angels, demons, the Fae, and even aliens, extraterrestrials. And again, once you start talking about angels and demons or fairies or aliens, a lot of people shut off and go, oh yeah, you're mentally ill. And it's kind of okay, you don't have to believe in that stuff if you don't want to. There are other services that you can book instead. But yes, those are my different specialties and areas of expertise, as well as, and this is another new one that I've just recently started publicly talking about, because again, a lot of people don't understand it and they can misconstrue it and stuff. But one of the types of Reiki that I specialize in is known as erotic or sensual Reiki. And it is so important and so crucial to a lot of the work that I do and to the people that I've helped through it, that I kind of feel like I need to talk about it more, because I feel like there are more people out there that would really benefit from it and don't know that it exists, or don't know how to access it, or don't know what it means. So yeah, erotic Reiki in general is used to help people remove an energy blockage that is tied to sex and sexuality. I use it with couples sometimes who are having a hard time connecting intimately. And so I will go through and remove those blockages that are usually mental, emotional, and then physical. And we work together to remove those energy blockages so that they can physically and sexually reconnect as a couple and be intimate with each other again. Sometimes the physical issue is caused by impotence, and they find that nothing medically is helping, and it's actually a mental block. And so we have to remove that energy block and help them work on it to regain the use of their appendages. Or sometimes in a relationship, somebody has been unfaithful and there's infidelity involved. And so they have an energy blockage both in their heart and in their heads. And it doesn't matter how much they want to be intimate with their partner, they just can't bring themselves to do it when the time comes. And so we work with them both as individuals and as a couple. And we do a lot of Reiki, and we work on removing those blockages. And then occasionally they will come back and we will do some tantric sex sessions where I teach them how to connect with each other physically using tantra and other forms of spiritual intimacy and sexuality. And it's really nice. I've really enjoyed being able to work with these couples and help them heal their relationships and move on. I also work with individuals one-on-one who have experienced some sort of sexual trauma or abuse, and it's causing a blockage in them, and it's affecting their intimate relationships with others. And so I work alongside their therapists. Usually, so not everybody can afford therapy, not everybody has access to therapy, so not all of my patients are working with a therapist, but a lot of them are. And I'm not here to replace their therapy. I'm here to work with them and help them in a different way that a therapist and a counselor can't. And so I help them process that trauma and remove that energy blockage the best we can, so that they can then go into therapy and work on the trauma and the mental and psychological aspect of it. And then that, combined with the Reiki, a lot of times helps them move forward and allows them to start having intimate relationships in person with people. So it's very important. And then I'm not going to lie, I do have the occasional client of all genders that want an erotic Reiki session, because orgasms are good for the body, physically, mentally, emotionally. They release things like, it's an energy release for one, and it also releases all of those good hormones and things in your brain, the serotonin, the dopamine, the oxytocin, and all of that stuff is really good for your health. And so I do have some people who are not sexually active with another human being and need some help with that release. And obviously they can go hire a full service sex worker if they wanted the physical aspect of it, but they don't. And they don't just want to go hire like a cam model or something, because they don't just want it to be a physical, self-gratification thing. They want the spiritual energy work that is involved. And so I help them on my end with the energy work while they do the physical stuff on their end. We're all adults here. It doesn't bother me. It doesn't do anything for me, but it also doesn't bother me. It is what it is, and I understand why the service is needed, and it doesn't make me uncomfortable, so I'm happy and willing to provide it. So yeah, if anybody else has any questions about like the spiritual services that I provide that aren't candles and makeup and skincare, feel free to ask. As long as you're respectful, I will answer them to my best of my ability and to the best of my knowledge. This is probably going to turn out to be like a 4-part video, and I apologize for that.